It is election night in America. Our panel is still with us as we continue to focus in on Wisconsin. We get new numbers every moment. Let's show you where the numbers are right now in that race. David Crowley is still ahead. Francesca Hong behind, but about 3,000 votes or so separate the two. A very close race, still too close to call. We just heard from Francesca Hong, Congresswoman, as somebody who has given these speeches before on nights when you don't know what's going to happen. What did you think of what she said?
Low energy, I would say. I was surprised, especially in a room where we heard so much enthusiasm for her. I didn't think she played off that very well. I've given speeches where I lost with a lot more energy than that. So I think that's not a great sign about how she's feeling going on to that stage. I also thought it was an odd speech, devoid of policy in any way. Lots of buzzwords, movement, community, kind of every kind of kindergarten kumbaya word that I could think of. But I didn't come away with a sense of what she's actually fighting for. So we didn't hear her talk about things like Medicare for all. We didn't hear her talk about things like fighting racial profiling or hate crimes or some of the work that she's actually done. So it was an odd kind of speech, I thought.
And she didn't even say the word, Matt, Tom Tiffany for a long time.
A long time, like three-quarters of the way through the speech.
You know, who's a Republican congressman who's going to go on and be the Republican nominee for governor, didn't get into that.
No, I mean, look, having been in the back room with candidates before these speeches, it's all about expectation management, and you don't want them to get too high or too low, especially in a situation like this. And I mean, I agree with Katie. She came out and she was just, I mean, deflated.
Yeah.
And we kept on saying, God, this doesn't sound like a victory speech. Is it, you know, like
a lot of past tense in that speech.
A lot of
past
tense.
and all that we have accomplished, right? It wasn't like all that we're going to accomplish. It was kind of like, it sounded like this was the terminus.
She did do a little bit of contrast with Tom Tiffany. I mean, he has 10x over the next candidate, which sounds like a big number now in terms of money. The Democrats will equal that within about 3 weeks.
It's not hard to punch at Tom Tiffany, especially in Wisconsin. This is
This was somebody you served in Congress with.
I served in Congress with.
Not your close
He's
friend.
a nice man, not super strong candidate, not super dynamic. I think it would have been very easy to give a very rousing speech about the future of Wisconsin, about the future of the country. She could have taken a stab at Donald Trump very easily. He's way underwater there. That's low-hanging fruit, and she didn't do it.
She didn't take it.
Tom Tiffany tried to invalidate his own state's votes in 2020. I mean, that's going to be something to deal with if he has a serious.
Yeah, it's not hard to come up. Like I said, it's not hard to hit that target.
So let's talk about what's going on right now in Minnesota. They've got a few different interesting races, but let's start on the Democratic side in the Senate race, where this is to replace Tina Smith in the United States Senate. And we do now have a winner in this race.
Yeah, absolutely.
This was a battle between the progressives and the moderates. Peggy Flanagan, who's been backed, the lieutenant governor of that state, backed by Bernie Sanders, AOC, and by Tina Smith, defeating Angie Craig, who is a member of the House, who was backed by Nancy Pelosi and Hakeem Jeffries and some of the more establishment House Democrats. This is, and let's look real quickly while we have it, the Republican race there for Senate. Not as close. Michelle Tafoya, who a lot of people remember as a sports broadcaster, doing Sunday Night Football with Al Michaels and been on TV for many, many years, is ahead big time and is going to win that Republican primary. So it's going to be Peggy Flanagan versus Michelle Tafoya in Minnesota. And this is that battle on the Democratic side, Ron, you've been talking about.
Yeah, look, this was another left-center battle in the Democratic Party. Peggy Flanagan, a Medicare for All supporter. Angie Craig was hurt by voting for that Laken Riley Act early on. Didn't seem to be standing up to Trump enough. But I want to point out something else. Beside the ideological fight, Peggy Flanagan's 46. Abdul El-Sayed is 41. David Crowley is 40. Francesca Hong is 37. The candidate, the Hartford mayor who beat John Larson in Connecticut today, is 47. And by the way, that makes us the most incumbents who've lost in primaries since at least 1970 or 1962, depending on how you count.
And he was running against a candidate, a congressman who's 78.
78.
Yeah.
So, there is, in addition to kind of an ideological uprising going on or contest in the Democratic Party, there's something going on beyond that is really not in dispute. I mean, there's an overwhelming desire in the Democratic Party post-Biden for a generational transition. And I think that's going to be one of the most powerful lessons out of this primary season. Again, looking toward 2028. Barack Obama was 45 years old when he announced for president, and I think someone who's in their 40s or early 50s
Bill Clinton
is going to have
when he's in his 40s.
He was
as well.
40, he was also 45 when he announced for president. I think in 1991 he would have been 45.
Yeah, and J.D. Vance only 41.
Just
right
the
now.
generational aspect of this can get lost in the ideological fight, but it is real as well on the Democratic side.
Thank you, President Biden, for that. Right, Matt?
100%. I mean, look. We need more young people in politics. The 70-year-olds, they've had their time. They should go chase the little round ball on a green golf course.
Does that include the Republican president of the United States?
Hey, I think that we should have more younger people in office, irrespective of political party. So,
well, and I think that's actually interesting to hear you say that, because Republicans actually have done, notwithstanding President Trump.
Correct. No, absolutely.
As the extreme example of old age, but in office. But Republicans have actually done a better job generally cultivating younger candidates. When I got to Congress, one of my big surprises was I thought that Republicans were the party of old people. I was wrong.
Yeah, but they were.
But they made that shift.
Out of it.
They made that shift. You could probably tell me strategically whether it was 5, 10 years ago, but it definitely was the time I there. They have a real system to lift up newer people. And I think about Angie Craig. She was elected with me in 2018. She has been waiting and waiting now 8 years. If she were a Republican, she would have already been a committee chair by now. Had a gavel, had policy behind her.
Let me ask you a question. Going into this, the assumption was pretty broad that Amy Klobuchar is almost certainly going to be elected governor, and that she would appoint the loser to her seat in the primary. After you've lost by 20 points, though. Can she do that?
She can.
I mean, obviously she can. But would it make sense, or would voters kind of recoil against that?
It depends how much. If she crushes in Minnesota, she can
she's
do anything.
I'm not worrying about her.
Yeah.
I'm saying if you put Craig in the seat, could Craig defend the seat?
Oh, I think she can.
You can.
And let's look at those numbers since you brought it up. So that's also on the ballot tonight. Minnesota Governor Amy Klobuchar, of course, the senator who ran for president, big national figure. This wasn't even close. 89.6. She basically cleared the field when she got into this race. We don't even have pictures of the other people that she was running against. In terms of the Republican battle for governor, we got a lot of attention on Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, who's run all those ads and claimed that the election was rigged without evidence, and has his own TV network and his camera person in the White House and all the rest of it. Trump endorsement. Didn't work here. Lisa DeMuth is the Republican nominee. Your take, Matt, on Mike the Pillow guy and why he did not win.
Got a little smothered with the pillow tonight.
The jokes write themselves.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
No, I mean, look, there's a big difference between hawking pillows on television and running for governor in any state.
What about hawking election conspiracies?
Well, that doesn't help either. But again, this is a Republican primary. But he did run against the House Speaker, someone who probably knew Minnesota government inside and out and could out-government him when they're talking. So, and that still even matters in Republican primaries.
Look at how many votes again. Look at how many votes are cast in these two primaries. I mean, this is like 400,000 almost. The Democrats is going to be what, 700,000? Same thing as Michigan, same thing as Wisconsin.
I think the lesson here is, again, Democrats shouldn't be such weenies about primaries. We're so fearful of them. The hand-wringing from elected leadership, from party leaders about primaries. But what do we keep seeing? Huge Democratic turnout, candidates that are getting better and sharper because of it. I will say, if I am Senator Klobuchar, I'm sad that I'm not going to face Mike the Pillow Guy. He would have been my preferred opponent, the fundraising,
Oh,
the
gosh, yeah.
opportunity. I still think she's going to win. I think Senator Klobuchar's terrific, but she's going to have a tough
know,
road.
it'll be a
She
it'll
would
be a
have had
different
she had the
race.
pillow.
This is
It'll be
a
a
reminder to Democrats, and this was maybe another lesson from 2024, that close primaries are good for the system.
Absolutely.
It gets people involved in the system. And maybe when you anoint people, it doesn't always work because then people don't have buy-in into it.
And look,
Last word, Ron.
Trump is really unpopular in Minnesota. Should be a good year for Democrats, but so is the outgoing governor.
Yeah,
and so it could be a little complicated for Peggy. Peggy Flanagan is
You're going to hear Flanagan waltz a lot.
You are going to hear Flanagan waltz a lot. Yep.
You guys are sticking around, still ahead. This is really interesting. Speaking of the next generation of candidates, a smoke jumper won the Democratic primary for a U.S. House seat in Miami.